Hello, welcome to my channel again. Today we're going to make a loaf of white bread. And the first thing we're going to do is measure the ingredients. We're going to start with the dry yeast. We're going to use 7 grams. We're also going to measure 250 grams or milliliters of warm water. The water has to be at 104 Fahrenheit or 40 degrees centigrade. And to that, we're going to add about a teaspoon of sugar, mix it, and add the yeast. While we do that, we're going to start mixing, measuring and mixing the other ingredients. So we're going to let it sit there for about 7 to 10 minutes. If we want to find out basically that the yeast is alive and that the sugar is food for the yeast. So if the yeast is not working, you need to stop and get a new package of yeast or buy new yeast. So there's no use to continue. So that's why we do that first. And I'm using unbleached all-purpose flour. You can use the bleached all-purpose flour. That's fine. And that is 215 grams. And I'm using bread flour, 215 grams, the same amount. And 8 grams of salt. And we're going to mix the flour and the salt together before we add the yeast and the water. And we're going to have ready 20 grams of fat. Basically, that is extra virgin olive oil, and we need to grease the pan and set it aside. I went about a gram over on the olive oil, but you know, olive oil is really good. It tastes good too. 7 minutes later, the yeast, you see that it's foaming, so we know that it's alive, it's ready to go, and we can pour first half of it and then the other half of the yeast to the flour, and we're going to mix it with the handle of a wooden spoon. Then we add the olive oil and we continue to mix. What we're trying to do here is make a ball, and we have to have also another container, another grease container, either with olive oil or butter or whatever you have handy, where we're going to put the dough in. And when we put the dough in that bowl, let's make sure that we put some oil. You know, we rub the dough with some oil too, so that it doesn't dry out. Once we put it in the oven, I put it in the oven. It needs to be in a warm place with that there's not any draft. We don't want any wind. So I put it in the oven that is turned off. I just turn on the light in the oven. That's warm enough. And we're gonna let it rise for 1 hour. So the bowl is ready. The dough is ready. I forgot to rub a little bit of oil on top of it. So I put it in the oven and then I got it out and rubbed it. And it's gonna sit there for an hour. Then I'm using that container for the second rice. You don't have to use it. You can return it to the oven and put it in there for about another hour, but you don't have to do. But I do it because yeast loves heat and humidity, and that's what I'm doing. That's a method to let it rise a little bit faster. So now, an hour later, the dough has doubled in size, and we can put it on the work table. And we're gonna get all the gases out of the dough. And we need to put a little bit of flour on top of it first. And the idea here is to make a rectangle to put it into the baking pan. We're getting the gases out and we're using our fingers to get the gas out. And as you can see, I'm not a baker. I don't have the technique quite right, but the bread turns out really, really good. You use your knuckles to get the air out. And we're going to put it in the pan. We're gonna press it with the knuckles again, make sure that it's stretched and it's touching all the sides of the pan. Then we're gonna put the pan inside that plastic container. We're gonna put a moist towel on the bottom of the container. Then we put the pan, when we close it, then goes into the sink, and we fill about an inch to an inch and a half of warm water. The sink with warm water, and we put something on top of the plastic container so that it doesn't float. And we're gonna let it rise for about 30 minutes. And 15 minutes before that is done, you turn on the oven at 375 degrees. And once the 30 minutes have passed, that pan is going to go directly into the oven. See how much it rose, and then you put a little bit of you dust it with flour too. 30 minutes later, the bread is ready and comes out really, really easy out of the baking pan. And now we have to wait about 20 minutes before we eat it. And that's it. Thank you. Subscribe, like, share. Bye.